Well, good morning everybody. Well, as it's customary on the kitchen table, this is not a kitchen table, this is my famous wallpaper table covered in a lovely white cloth. And to bring into custom Simon's normal kitchen table routine, I will necessarily, of course, have my tipple of the day. As it's a very cold, frosty November morning, I've decided that a little drop of the red label doesn't seem a pity to waste that amount, so I'm going to have a customary small tipple. Cheers, Simon. Well, many thanks to Simon for supplying Buzzcam Black Ops GPS module, kindly supplied by Buzzcam. Simon has asked me to make sure that before we actually take the top off our DJI Phantom Vision Plus, I will now take this outside and actually connect it up to see exactly how many GPS signals we get from the existing module that's in the top of the Phantom. So bear with me while I don my cold suit and go outside in the very cold, frosty morning and see exactly how many GPS signals we actually get. Well, here we are outside on a very frosty morning, and I've just started the connection of the Vision Plus, and at this moment in time, as you can see, we have 7 satellites which we are connected to. This is fairly normal in my front garden to only have 7, so we will now fit the module and see exactly what improvement we have. There's the Phantom Vision laying amongst all the leaves of autumn, and I do accept that my ALA IMU calibration needs to be done, but this, remember, is a brand spanking new Vision which has never ever been flown. As a matter of curiosity, I have just brought the Phantom Vision indoors back to the kitchen table. As you can see, it's all started up. We have a connection with the camera, and at this moment in time we have no satellites at all. Now it'll be interesting that once the unit is fitted to see whether this has improved the signal indoors in my house, as I have quite a few steel RSJs in this house for this to contend with, and it would be an interesting fact to find out if there was indeed or is any signal improvement. As you can see, I have brought the infamous toolkit out specifically to do this task. There is a variety of different tools that I may possibly need, and of course the necessary Torx pieces that you will need to get the top from the Phantom off from its base. And of course the most important thing that you are likely to need will be a temperature controlled soldering iron. This is one of my old favourites and should be able to do the job. The other thing you will probably almost certainly need will be a desoldering sucker, which is available from most electronic wholesalers. I know Maplin's do a good one. This is where this one particular came from. This is very much a good aid when you are desoldering any joint, and comes in very handy especially when you need to take solder away from a joint. Without further ado, let's get the top off the Phantom and see exactly what's inside. The other thing I forgot to mention that you will almost certainly need is a very sharp X-Acto knife or a modelling knife of a similar description for you to be able to remove the stickers where need to be cut at this point where the two joints actually meet. They do actually supply you with replacement stickers, so don't worry if you spoil your stickers on your Phantom, because the replacements can be easily stuck over the top. The first thing you need to do is to remove the Torx screws from the top, which are fairly tight. You carry on doing this on all four legs to make sure that they are removed. It is advisable when you remove the screws to put them into a suitable container to make sure that you don't lose the screws. One small problem I have come across is the screws that are very close to the legs in this particular position are very awkward to get to unless you have a long screw Torx piece that will get in to where that position is. I managed to get over this problem by taking the Torx piece out of the screwdriver and simply by using a pair of pliers gently turn until it's loosened off, and then you can remove the screw with your Torx screwdriver. So if you are buying a set of Torx screwdrivers for repairing a Phantom, my advice is to buy long screwdrivers with the necessary Torx piece on the end. Don't forget also, of course, that you have to remove the small crosshead screw on the very end of the arm in order to release the top. And again, the screws have all a thread lock on the ends. My advice is to buy a little drop of thread lock to put the screws back in with. I've removed all the screws now, so all it is left to do is to gently cut through the stickers with your X-Acto knife so that you can remove the top. Carefully following the joint. Now the top should be released, as you can see, away from the bottom. Hadn't quite released that one. Now my GPS has simply come loose of its own accord, which obviously plugs into the board. Make sure you know exactly where it plugs back into. I'm gently levering away the sticky backing. with a fairly blunt screwdriver, so if there is anything underneath I don't damage it, bearing in mind that this is the first time ever that I have ever taken the top off any Phantom. As they say, Simon, I am a total virgin. It's stuck fairly well down, so you have to be very careful if you want to reuse this, which the suggestion is that you do. It's coming away fairly easily. Very sticky. Well, I've jumped ahead a little bit to release this. It does take a few minutes to make sure that you do not disturb the existing module, and you have to be very careful of this cable and make sure that you do not pull the cable in any way, shape or form. I'm trying to be as careful as I can, peeling away the backing to make sure that I do not disturb that cable. And as you can see, I've managed to get it out reasonably intact. It's very sticky. This is the module that we're going to be replacing. Again, this is sticky as well, so this has to be removed in order to access the module. You obviously have to pass this cable through the shield very carefully. So that you can access the screws. So you have to pull this cable through the shield, being very careful with it to access the module underneath. It's a little bit fiddly. And that is the other reflector pad. This is the module that we need to now remove. It's held in place by 4 very small screws. 1, 2, 3, 4. I cannot understand, in looking at this module, exactly why DJI mounted it the way they have, because this cable actually comes out, as you can see, at the front and needs to come out at the back. So when you reposition it so the cable comes out the back, because the connection for it is at the back of the circuit board of the Phantom. Here is the new Black Ops module. As you can see, it has a ring of self-adhesive tape going round the pin and a small tag there to allow it to be unstuck, so to speak, from its adhesive pad. This is the module we have to replace. There is an orientation to get the pin in exactly the right position